Ba 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 nha nha. Ba 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 nha.
Nice.
Hey, hi, how are you guys doing? Kia here, and welcome to another Boyz Planet video. Today is different because it marks the first episode of Boyz Planet, and I can't tell you guys just how excited I am to watch this. Of course, it's bittersweet because, well, yeah, I'm happy Boyz Planet is finally here. It's kind of sad because inevitably we're going to get to eliminations, and I feel so attached to so many of the trainees right now that I just don't want to let anybody go, but that's okay. We're just not going to think about that right now. And today we are just going to talk about the first episode of Boyz Planet, which just aired. So overall, in terms of being the first episode of an Mnet survival show, I have to say this was really good. And surprisingly, there wasn't as much drama within this first episode as I was expecting. In previous seasons, the first episode was just filled with scripted drama, weird cuts that just gave trainees bad angles, and while yeah, we did have that to a minimal degree, which I'll talk about in a minute, I feel like this episode was just cuter because we had a lot more funny reactions, a lot more fun commentary, and honestly too, even the judges just seemed a little more lighthearted than they were usually portrayed in previous seasons. I have a previous video, which I recommend you go and watch, where I talked about some things that I hope Mnet changes in Boyz Planet that they had implemented in Girls Planet. And sadly, I don't think a lot of those changes occurred. It seems like we still have this weird K group, G group kind of divide. And honestly, I can't really say it's more pronounced than it was in Girls Planet, but it's just really strange that in Boyz Planet we have separate entrances, separate seating. We have this K group, G group star count battle. And we have all these comments which got edited, which just seemed to try to build tension between the K and G group and basically who was going to outperform the other. But overall, I just feel like the division is just very unnecessary. I mean, yeah, we did get some cool dance battles. And I mean, on the most positive note, it really gave G Group time to shine. But overall, it just really created this unnecessary tension between K and G Group, when at the end of the day, they're supposed to be one cohesive group, because that's what the final group is going to be. One cohesive group. So, I mean, I'm hoping this doesn't last too long. But other than that, I don't really have any other negative aspects to talk about. I mean, obviously the editing in certain places was done in very true Msnake fashion. But even then, I felt like it was toned down compared to previous seasons. So moving on to the actual performances, I do just want to put out a disclaimer. I am not a vocalist, rapper, or dancer. So these are just my thoughts. I honestly don't have any experience to back up any of these thoughts. And again, these are my personal opinions. I'm not going to dive too in-depth for each performance just because, one, that would be too long. And two, like I just said, I don't have a lot of knowledge on these topics. So with all that said, let us roll into the performances. Starting with Kick It G Group, I have to say Ollie was as cute as a button, and him and Ricky actually did pretty good with the rap lines in my opinion. No, I don't think they were the world's strongest rappers, but if we're just talking about in terms of enjoyability, I think they did pretty good with the rap lines that they were given. Jong Hao was really good with that high note. Honestly, I was amazed by how he was able to deliver it so nicely, especially knowing that he was probably exhausted since that was towards the end of the dance. But overall, they were great dancers. They were really in sync, and I really did enjoy Ricky's choreo for the dance break. Moving on to the Kick It K group, which also was full of really strong dancers. A few standouts to me was Soap, who basically I feel needs to be more appreciated. Like, we are not appreciating this man's vocals enough. Huijin was also another standout because he is a really strong performer. I feel like if we give him a few years, he's going to be a great idol. Wheein was definitely the one that stood out to me the most, though. And it wasn't even because of the kick it performance, but rather because, one, while the judges were basically fawning over Huijin and getting ready to deliberate on the actual scores, Wheein created his own screen time and basically performed Reveal by the Boyz, which is one of my favorite songs by the Boyz. Anyways, I love that he basically made his own screen time, because if he hadn't said anything, Mnet probably would have edited it right on over that boy. So I am a lover of make your own screen time. And secondly, did anybody else feel like Wheein could have been a member of the Boyz? Like, literally, he looked like the missing member. Aesthetically, his visuals just look like they would blend right in with the Boyz. Like, I could literally see him doing that same dance between Q and Hyunjae. Like, he would fit in that group perfectly. On to the My House performance. Guys, this one was just comedy. Pure comedy. I mean, I love how Doha, first of all, just comes off with his baby face, but then he has this really deep voice. I honestly don't think I saw any of Doha's pre-show content. I probably did, but I just probably skimmed over it. But I was not expecting that deep of a voice from such a baby face. His dancing was so adorable. And even though his vocals and dance altogether were very weak, I don't know, the way he was just going about it just made it so oddly charming. And I loved how he was just having fun with the performance. The other person who performed My House, Mingyu, he also didn't sound bad. And I have to say, there's something about him too. Like, him and Doha, I feel like why it was just so entertaining to watch wasn't even because they were just like essentially bad, but it's just because they were so charming and they looked so cute doing the dance. I think Lip J said it nicely. Even though they were doing it all wrong, you just didn't want them to correct it because it was just so fun to watch. Coco Bop, which I'm kind of upset that it kind of got edited out, because when he did so great in this performance, I mean, what can't this guy do? He's funny, he can rap, he can sing, he can dance. And as we call that in K-pop, he's an all-rounder. Sadly, though, I feel like Nice just kind of got overshadowed by Winnie, and he honestly didn't really stand out to me. Our next performance, which is Shine, which is another funny one, because I just love how they literally had 30-year-old Ichika doing a cute concept wearing a schoolboy uniform, and I just love how it actually suited him. Like, he looked amazing, and I love that he doesn't look a day over 16. But other than that, it was honestly a pretty subpar performance. I mean, the vocals and dance were kind of lacking, but I mean, they look so cute while performing it. Also, I just want to point out, I feel that Mnet has grown, kind of. Because honestly, when they came out and it was basically shown that they're going to be performing Shine, I honestly kind of expected it to play out like this. So basically the boys come on stage and then the judges read their scripts that Mnet gave to them and be like, hey, they're performing Shine by Pentagon. And they're like, hey, this is Shine. And then the other guy's like, isn't the original artist sitting over there? And then, you know, you have one of the members look up and be like, we shine, you don't. And then Huey cries. That's how I was expecting it to play out. Thankfully, it didn't. But on that same note, I kind of wish that Mnet didn't use this performance for drama, because it kind of took the attention from the boys themselves and focused it more on Huey. And it also just kind of put Huey in this awkward spot, because I'm sure Huey just wants to participate. And I mean, who really wants to be a constant plotline for Mnet? That just seems exhausting. But anyways, the performance was okay. Definitely one of the weaker ones in my opinion, but they were so cute. On to another group of cuties, which was the Crown performance. Another performance where I did find the vocals to be extremely weak and the dance just to be kind of meh. But I mean, they were so cute, especially Osuke. Like, I just feel like he was in his element. Call Me Baby is another group that I think Mnet did dirty in the first episode, because first of all, they barely even showed the performance in the episode, and the portion that they did show just highlighted the bad vocals and then the judges criticizing them. But if you actually watch the performance, you'll actually see that it's really not that bad a performance. Yeah, Wen Yinchen's vocals are rough, but personally, I feel like Christian and Yugin were like the best part of the performance. Moving on to which was actually pretty good in my opinion. Choi Jiho wasn't the best vocal-wise, but his rap was good. And although he doesn't have Kai's level of dancing, I feel like his dancing was actually pretty solid. And moving on to GTBT, I just want to say Gungwoo murdered the stage and Hyunbin had such a good rap. This was a very strong performance, and I honestly would like to see them perform again as a unit, but maybe with a different song or concept, like a big song maybe, just so we can see what else the boys can do. Moving on to Damdari, which overall the performance was pretty weak. This performance didn't really stand out to me. Both the contestants look cute in this performance, and I love that they were covering Golden Child, but overall there was nothing memorable to me. Next we have Tiger Inside, which I have to say was extremely biased editing for Chin Kwon-jui. And literally in the first episode, the whole performance was just one big spotlight on him. But I do have to say, his magic stick was amazing, but I kind of wish he had did a little bit more with it. Still cool nonetheless. And when watching a performance, there was one member whose dancing seemed to be a little weaker compared to the rest. But also, to be fair, he seemed like he was singing the chorus. Probably had a hard time trying to perform the intense choreo while also trying to sing his lines. So honestly, I can't really say if anybody stood out to me in this group, because I feel like I would just need to see them in another performance. God's Menu, which this performance was really sad, but this song is really hard. I mean, most Stray Kids songs are well known for having intense choreo and intense rapping, and it must be even harder when Korean is not even your native language and it's not even a language you're really familiar with. So I do want to say kudos to them for trying, but overall the performance was very weak and the raps were less than stellar. All I Want to Do, Matthew. His performance was good. I was actually surprised by how stable his vocals were while he's performing it, and I can't wait to see him cover more songs and different styles. Next we have Criminal, and the first one I'm talking about is Donggun, who was also done dirty by Mnet Edit. Don't get me wrong, the edit was funny, but they made his vocals seem a lot worse than they actually were. Overall, he's one of those contestants that I mentioned back at the beginning of this video, where his song choice just wasn't a good fit for his skill level and vocal capabilities. Woo-suk was definitely the better of the two, but I mean, he still had a pretty weak performance. Moving on to View, which I'm surprised got such low rankings from the judges. Not saying they deserved All-Star, but they definitely deserved more than what they got. I mean, those two were just so cute and energetic, and the performance was so entertaining to watch. Personally, I think that Kong sounded a little better, and I can't wait to see these two in some more performances. Going to Glitch Mode, I do think the contestants did a great job. The way the performance was shown in episode 1 versus if you just watch the actual performance by itself on YouTube, it's a little different. And you can see that Mnet definitely edited the performance in the episode so that it came off stronger than the contestants actually were. But overall, I think they did a pretty good job. Dancing was good. Vocals weren't as good, but they were charming. And I have to say, Haruto did a great job handling the situation with his mic pack flying all over the place. Because personally, I really thought he was going to hit himself in the head with that because it was flying all around while he was doing this choreo. So, bravo. Rush Hour, which I have to say is one of my favorite performances from this episode just because Jay killed this performance. I loved his stage presence. His vocals were fantastic. And although Camden wasn't really a standout in the performance, he still did really good with his rap. And I really want to see him rap in another song just so we can see what kind of style he fits better. But personally, Jay was the standout. I loved his facial expression. I just love his vibe and his energy. And also, I just love throughout the episode all of his little commentary and reactions to the different performances. Next, we have Hot, who is another performance that was pretty weak. Both of the contestants were vocally pretty weak, and you could definitely hear when they were getting out of breath, especially during the chorus. And honestly, I don't know if it was just due to the fact that they were just nervous because they were dancing in front of the actual choreographer, but their facial expressions were kind of stiff, and they pretty much stayed the same throughout the entire performance. Last performance from this episode was Beautiful Beautiful. So, Beautiful Beautiful, which I feel like was a great song choice for Song Han-bin, and I love how you incorporate his touching into the choreography. Obviously, his dancing is on point. We know the man's a strong dancer. And the whacking battle that we watched between him and Lip J was fantastic and everything I could have hoped for. And overall, I feel like this was a great performance. So the standouts from the first episode that I want to talk about first are just the ones who had like the funniest commentary and reactions. The ones that really stood out to me were like Wumuti and Jay. but the king of commentary and reactions was definitely Seunghwan and Jungwoo, and kind of Jiwoong, because I love how they're talking around Jiwoong, and Jiwoong just looked like he was struggling to stay awake. So the award goes to those two. So the 9 G group contestants that stood out to me this episode would be Ollie, Winnie, Haruto, Christian, Kong, Anthony, Silk Matthew, Jay, and Jong Hao. My standouts from K group this episode would be Sung Hanbin, Gunwook, Huijin, Sungwon, Jiho, Hyunbin, Kyuwon, Mingyu, and Seunghwan, just because he's hilarious. Yeah, he didn't perform in this episode, but I feel like he got more screen time than half of these guys who did perform. So after watching the first episode, here are my current top 9 picks. At number 9, I have Kim Ji-woon, which usually he's higher on my list, but since he hasn't performed yet, I just didn't really know where to put him. So until he performs and I can actually figure out where in the list I want him, he's just going to stay at number 9. Number 8 is Lee Seunghwan, and this man is one of 3 fixed picks within my top 9. And not only because, yes, I do love the Minion and Banana song, but because this man has quite the set of vocals on him, and he's a comedian, and he seems like he has low-key crackhead energy, and who doesn't love an adorable crackhead? Moving on to number 7, we have Jong Hao, and he definitely was one that surprised me because I didn't realize how good of a singer he was, and honestly, his personality is so great. I love how he seems to have like this motherly personality, and I feel like every group needs a mother personality, and he has the talent to support it, so why not? Number 6, I have Wheein, which, if you guys don't know, I love a good vocalist, and Wheein definitely won me over when I saw his cover of Baekhyun's UN Village, so he will stay up here also. Number 5, we have Silk Matthew, which I said it before, he's like a little ray of sunshine. How could you not want a little ray of sunshine in the group? Also, that little bit about him and Hanbin, like who wasn't swayed by that? Like, it's like if you buy one, you got to get the other. You can't just have one or the other. You have to get both. Number 4, which is Jay. I saw a few people were kind of commenting on how he can be cringy, but you know what? He is cringy, but I love that for him. He is so adorable and so funny. And once again, the commentary that he was providing throughout the show was hilarious. He just has the best facial expressions. Even when he is just minding his own business, sometimes his reactions are just hilarious. And I feel like him and Seunghwan would just be like the crackheads of the group. Number 3, we have Park Gun-wook, which I mean, for obvious reasons why he's there, but he's always been pretty high up in my top 20 list. I just think the kid's really talented. He's literally what he said, an all-rounder. And if you don't believe me, go check out some of his stages from Wild Idol and you will see what I'm talking about. Number 2 is Sung Hanbin. I mean, who isn't voting for this kid? He definitely has the talent. And when I say he is making history by becoming the most center of centerist centers of any Mnet survival show. And at number 1, I have Christian. While his performance sadly was basically all but edited out of episode 1, if you do have a chance, I do recommend going to watch it on YouTube, and you'll see he definitely was one of the standouts of the performance. And personally, I feel like going forward with the Signal song and the actual first mission, he's definitely going to be able to showcase his talent a little bit more. And it seems like he already has a pretty good following, which is surprising to me, but much appreciated after seeing where he ranked in the first ranking announcement. And with all of that said, that's a wrap. And that concludes today's video. So let me know, what are your thoughts on the first episode? And has your top 9 changed since pre-show until now? I'm curious to see if anybody's lineups have changed drastically, or if you're kind of like me and your picks just change daily because basically everybody on the show is amazing. And if you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button and hit the subscribe button down below so you can see more videos just like this. Until next time, ta-tas!